frantic struggle for survival plays out here every day on Haiti's border with the Dominican Republic. On that side, the poorest country in the Americas. On this side, one of the region's fastest growing economies. Haiti and the Dominican Republic share the Caribbean island of Hispaniola, but they are separated by language, culture, and a history of bitter conflict. In the Dominican town of Dajabon, a binational market restricted to a so-called free trade zone opens twice a week for Haitians to buy and sell fruit, vegetables, and anything else. On market days, in Amidst on the Haitian side, men and women with wheelbarrows push and shove through the thronging crowd into Dajabon. Motorcycle rickshaws weave through the crowd with crates piled high, and women carry heavy loads on their heads. Dominican border guards, a special armed forces division, patrol the border, check documents, and control the crossings. Most of these Haitians are struggling to get enough goods back across the border to survive and rely for that help on their neighbors in the Dominican Republic. Across the border here in Haiti, the UN has warned of record hunger, with 1 in 4 children suffering from chronic malnutrition as a direct result of the political vacuum and the gang-imposed lockdown of the capital, Port-au-Prince. The stranglehold well-armed criminal gangs have over the capital, Port-au-Prince, has pushed up prices of basic goods and fuel in the rest of the country. The United Nations says around half of Haiti's 11.5 million people face hunger, and a staggering 360,000 have been internally displaced, half of them children. Tens of thousands of Haitians are trying to leave their crisis-hit country, often to the Dominican Republic, where many already live and work. But police were rounding up any Haitians who didn't have the right documents or those suspected of committing crimes. In recent years, tens of thousands of Haitians and those of Haitian descent have been expelled. Dominican President Luis Abinader has categorically rejected the idea of allowing any refugees to cross into his country. He has said deportations are part of the country's national security policy. Much of the border near Dajabon is lined with a high metal fence topped with razor wire, part of a planned 118-mile border wall. Surrounded by well-armed troops, Dominican Army Chief Major General Carlos Fernandez inspected the border defenses and rallied soldiers to protect the nation.
Nosotros somos soldados. Somos soldados los 365 días del año, las 24 horas del día, y tenemos una responsabilidad que cumplir. Y en eso estamos, cumpliendo con nuestra sagrada misión, defender la integridad y soberanía de nuestra nación, cuidar nuestras fronteras.
Relations between the two countries, one which speaks Spanish, the other Haitian Creole and French, have never been easy. For much of its length, the border is marked by the Massacre River. Its name evokes the 1937 slaughter of Haitians and black Dominicans under the military dictatorship of Rafael Trujillo.
We're just crossing the border into Haiti at Dajabon. We're now entering the town of Amidst, and we'll be traveling from here for a few hours to Cap-Haitien in the northern coast.
The difference between the two countries was stark, with much of Haiti's underdevelopment, but also the resilience of its people visible from the roadside. Arriving in Cap-Haitien, we found a city with all of Haiti's problems: abject poverty, failing infrastructure, and crumbling institutions, but not the violence that terrorizes the capital. Market traders rely on homegrown produce and whatever they could get from across the border. At the port, trucks lined the road as cargoes of goods couldn't get through gang-controlled roads to the capital. Businesses struggle to get what they need to provide a service, says entrepreneur Christopher Etienne.
When our company lost a truck stolen by gangs coming from Port-au-Prince to Cap-Haitien, we lost a brand new truck that we were buying for cleaning the city. So you can imagine how hard it can be for a small company to lose a brand new truck coming from Port-au-Prince.
Whether it's trash collection or construction, you need fuel, which is extremely expensive and in short supply. Diesel is so scarce, it can cost 4 times more than it does in the United States. But this city, built by the French in the late 1700s, has lived through worse times.
Haiti is the first country ever founded by former slaves who liberated themselves from French colonial rule at the beginning of the 19th century. But more than 200 years later, many Haitians, rather than enjoying their freedom, are still fighting for their lives.
In the city centre, people queue at state banks, form lines at government offices, and wait patiently to collect remittances sent by relatives living abroad, often the only reliable lifeline. In the countryside, basic services like electricity and fuel are even harder to come by. Just outside the city, women and their babies can get their basic healthcare needs, starting with vaccinations, thanks to NGO Second Mile Haiti, which works with the country's health ministry.
So we're at our residential malnutrition center. The center can hold up to 22 families at one time. We've had over 1,600 families that have stayed in the center. They stay for an average of 7 weeks until they recover from malnutrition. So we can help them with some type of generating income after they leave the program.
And how are you guaranteeing them? Of course, some of these people have severe malnutrition in some cases. How are you guaranteeing that they don't fall back into malnutrition?
Yeah, so actually we have a less than 1% relapse rate, so we don't actually see them again in our center, but we do continue to follow up with visits. So we see families that have left our program in 2014.
For the country with the highest level of infant mortality in the region and a healthcare system close to collapse, centers like this are a lifeline. Young mother Rodachka did not know what to do when her baby daughter had a skin condition, while 16-year-old Chloe was left looking after her baby brother when their mother fell ill. Both infants are now making a strong recovery. Education has also suffered due to the violence and instability, but teachers insist on keeping the children engaged, even when unrest forces the schools to close.
It affects them a lot because we cannot follow the curriculum and we have to always be in a rush trying to create other alternatives for them to follow the programs with their phones because we don't have a lot of electricity and they don't have access to computers at home, so we cannot say that we're going to do online schooling.
If these Haitian children can get the right start, they represent hope for their country's future. But with so much failing in Haiti, many young people are looking for opportunities abroad, even though some promise to return, like Kesley Antoine.
Pour penser à entreprise que me voulais faire là, c'est plus au besoin de pays pam. Et oui, me voulais voyager pour me capable aller dans l'autre pays et pour me capable ouais et pour me capable contribuer dans le développement pays. C'est en fonction des entreprises là, en fonction des besoins plus pays à gagner.
Political instability forced school administrator Angie Bell to flee to Florida in the United States 2 decades ago. But despite the situation, she decided to return, and she tells the students why.
I always tell them that I am a living example, that if you leave, you go and take the opportunity and you bring it back home, because these kids, they need us. They need the professionals. And mainly right now, we have this brain drain that's happening where a lot of professionals are leaving, a lot of teachers, a lot of like anybody you can think of, like kids, teachers, professionals in general, they are leaving. So I think we need a movement to make people understand that they can come back. It's not an easy decision.
While Haiti and the Dominican Republic share the same island, they have had very different fortunes. The average annual income in the Dominican Republic is 10 times higher than Haiti, and its economy has one of Latin America's highest GDPs. While Haiti is mired in underdevelopment and reliant on aid, the Dominican Republic is a hub for manufacturing, agro-industry and services, and its big money spinner is tourism. But like its neighbor, Haiti has beautiful beaches with white sand and turquoise waters, and the same potential for a booming tourism industry. There had always been enough tourists for Jean-Bernard Simonet to run a successful hotel near Cap-Haitien for decades, but now he says he's closing up.
It's peaceful, there is no security problem, but the thing is we are dependent on Port-au-Prince for the fuel, for the diesel, and now that the border is closed with Dominican Republic, we are dependent even on food, you know, so I don't know, I don't see how I am going to manage the situation in the very near future. Now it's diesel, but very soon it will be rice, it will be food, it will be everything.
For now, the beach life continues as locals come to relax. The violence and disorder of Port-au-Prince seems a long way away. But the lack of stability and security is also felt here, and the future feels uncertain.